Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and this time on the Tourney, we're going to be doing, which one's
The
first?
last of round one. This
Yeah.
is the final of the quarterfinals. It's the final of the quarterfinal. The final of the four quarterfinals. So it's to fill the last semi-final spot. I've really backed myself into this one. It's to see who goes up against the King's Speech, and I'd like credit for thinking that quickly on my feet. It is between... Can you remember?
It's Spotlight versus Shape of Water.
Thank God. No, I could remember.
I don't know which one's on the top. I think it's Spot.
Yeah, no, it's Shape of Water versus Spotlight.
Yeah.
And it's been on screen while we've been saying it, I hope. This is going to be a tough one. Let's get the bias out there early. When the original 8 were written down, I was like, so Spotlight's going to probably win. Having not seen a few films like The Artist and Shape of Water, which now I have had a chance to see, and I love them both. I think you also had a bias, and it came out when Spotlight and Shape of Water came out against each other. We were both like, ooh.
Yeah.
And it was because we knew the other one really liked the film.
Yeah.
Like the other film.
Yeah, Spotlight is very good, but once Shape of Water came up, I was just like, Del Toro is my boy.
Yeah. Del Toro was my boy is a t-shirt I'm going to get made for your birthday, I think.
We got 3, maybe 2 shirts now.
Yeah.
What was it? Shut the fuck up and watch.
Yeah.
The Tourney.
Heartburn. No.
Layer. We're going to do layered like a layer cake. I really want that one.
Yeah, see, I hope that one is not in an edit somewhere, but I'm going to explain very quickly in 2 sentences. I'm stupid, and I said, it's layered like and then couldn't think of a layered thing. So I still can't think of something with layers, and I ended up coming up with taco or something like that. So let's move on and never speak of it
well,
again.
You said layered like a layer cake, and that's actually a really good one. It's very easy. It's easy and flowy and stuff, you know. So I want a t-shirt with that.
And you know what? From now on, we're only doing films with Taika Waititi in them.
Oh, so I can't say the name properly.
Yeah, but you got Zach Galifianakis,
Taika Waititi. See, can't do it.
Got her back. Okay. I will go. I'll go really, really quickly first. Then on what's the first 2 films?
We'll do Spotlight.
Okay.
For our thoughts on Spotlight.
And since Spotlight's my baby, since we both we know there's a dog in the fight we have each. I'll go with Spotlight first. Very, very quickly. Why do I love Spotlight? Why don't I love Spotlight is maybe the better question to ask. From a filmmaking point of view, it's impeccable. From an acting point of view, it's impeccable. From a content and story point of view, it is epic. There's no 2 ways about it. It's one of the tougher stories to think about because of the real world human casualty of it all. But it's that importance that makes the film, and the way the film progresses is laid out and is revealed to the audience in a very respectful way. It's what makes Spotlight so good for me. There is no point where this is just a investigative journalist, adoration film. But yet it does that very well. It gives you great respect and love for these people who are looking into something very, very sinister for very good reason. But it never stays too far away from the victims. It has the proper cadence of reminding you why and reminding you that there's real world consequences.
The human factor in it is quite, quite substantial and well covered in a kind of very dignified way as well.
I thought so.
So my thoughts on Spotlight is it's as Patrick was saying, it's a very well production wise, very clean film, very good clean film. There's no kind of any moment in that film I wasn't like, ooh, they could have done that shot a little bit differently or anything. It fit so well together in production wise. Story wise, difficult story, man. Very difficult story to kind of bring out and stuff. So well done to them. The subject matter was very, very difficult. A lot of the characters were the ones who kind of brought us. The main characters from the newspaper were the ones who kind of brought it out. They were your avatar towards the humanization of it, and your doorway or your window into the whole view of it, which is very difficult to do in a very well rounded way, and each character having their own kind of different light on it. Yeah.
It was. It's incredible to tell what is a story based on real life events. Also, just in case anybody doesn't know and hasn't seen Spotlight, you really should. It is the story of the team of journalists who broke the details in the Boston area of the involvement and knowledge that the church had of priests abusing children.
Yeah.
And that then spread across the world. So they really were the the tip of the iceberg that then had a huge effect around the world. You can read about this rather than even watching it. It's a little bit more than just based on real events.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest watching this film.
Yeah.
Like as we said, I'm still biased towards Shape of Water. I would still really say if you're gonna watch one of them, you're gonna miss out a lot on Shape of Water. But Spotlight has a little bit more of a kind of interesting and also view into this whole scandal, because as Patrick's saying, it's actually the showing that the organization of the church had involvement in this, not just one priest or two priests. It was fully scale thing.
So I think to intro into Shape of Water, since you were gracious enough to say that, I would still say watch Shape of Water also, even though it's kind of his pick out of these two. Paul, you can probably tell people why Shape of Water is wonderful better than I can.
Oh man, it is such a beautiful piece. Aesthetically, once again, Del Toro shows why creating and not just using CGI is very important within a film. Having these sets and everything actually crafted and everything gives the actors a lot of stuff to kind of bounce off and stuff, which is very, very prudent within this, because in certain respects there's like in certain respects of the scenes and everything, having the item or the creature or these things there, it makes it easier for them to act instead of acting towards a tennis ball kind of thing.
It's just gorgeous to look at in places.
And the story, it's such a charming and sweet story to me. It's very lovely to me. And then the aspect of the main hero, the protagonist of the whole film, is completely silent. She's mute.
Yeah,
which is a great kind of like I don't know. It's a great vehicle towards work showing the story and stuff, which is great, because she's different. Everybody points it out that she's different. Some of them are a lot more meaner about it than others, and then having essentially a connection with another kind of like out of the normal.
Well, from a filmmaking point of view, it's as clever as it is beautiful.
Yeah,
that's I know Del Toro is your boy, but I absolutely have to give him credit on that front. This is one of those things where it's not just, everybody will always say how lovely and pretty it is. It's not vacuous. It's not, this is not your veneer. This is not beautiful in the front with nothing behind it. There's an awful lot. And as you point out, having Sally Hawkins, the mute main character, having her spend so much time with Octavia Spencer, I think it was, who played her co-worker, who was not mute and was wonderfully talkative.
Oh, that partnership is great.
But there's so many partnerships all the way through that are great. Like I could probably go on. Paul loves this film, and I could go on longer than him about how great it is, having seen it. So much so that I'm looking forward to watching it again.
So we're going to go on to our choices.
Yes.
So obviously choices.
Let's make it official.
Yeah.
Paul, which would you choose to win out of these two?
Shape of Water.
You can ask me. I want to be asked.
Patrick.
Yes, Paul.
Out of the two films of Shape of Water and Spotlight, for our tourney, which would you choose to win?
No, Spotlight.
My God, I was just like, did I? No.
Did I convince him already? No, you didn't convince me already, and it's because I think it's going to be very, very difficult to be convinced, and it's not because the reason it's going to be hard to be convinced is because there's at no point am I going to go, oh yeah, but no, it's just not a good enough film. Shape of Water is a good enough film. It really is. So it's probably going to get quite nitpicky from here on out. I'm going to warn you that I will be championing Spotlight, but I'll also probably have to point out the one or two small things about Shape of Water that I thought were a bit.
Of course, I would also point out some of the problems that I had with Spotlight.
As the lady in the internet meme says, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah, I will.
All right, so if the rubber meets the road at this point where we've got to convince each other, I don't think we're not going to be convincing each other. We're going to be trying to get to a resolution of which should win.
I think we're both going to champion our films and stuff like that.
And it is remember best Oscars category, so and particularly since I'm the one championing a film that has such a serious topic at its core, that can't really factor in, because it's unfair for any film to go, well, it's better because it's a more important or serious topic. That's not a good enough reason for anything to be pushed forward. This is about filmmaking, it's about Best Picture, it's about all of that. It's a given that these films are good. I don't think I'm at no point am I going to go, well, Spotlight, how are you going to put like the Fish film ahead of the one about, you know, institutional abuse in the Catholic Church?
Yeah.
That would just be a crappy move.
Well, it's you know, it would be slightly dismissive of you know, some of the subplots and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard. So I guess, well, you know, Shape of Water.
Do you want to go first?
Of how do we do this? You know.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can do this starting by being mean. I love Spotlight. You can tell me this thing's wrong with it, and I will hear you out, and I will tell you one of the things that is wrong or didn't work well for me in Shape of Water.
Okay.
It's a very specific scene, and I found it because it's not a clunky film.
No.
But I found this scene clunky, and it is a moment where I can't remember the character's name. Sally Hawkins, the main character, her neighbor is infatuated with the guy in the pie shop.
Yes.
And eventually he gets to the point, he's going in eating lots of pie. Eventually he gets to the point where he's in that pie shop and he's very upset about something that's happening from a work point of view. And it's a very, very tender moment because you can see he's about to approach reach out to the object of his affection. And in that moment, obviously, as he reaches for the guy, you find out the guy's a massive homophobe, and you're like, that's number one, a shame, and what a dick. But then there is just in case you really, didn't get it that this guy's a bad guy, 2 African American people walk in, and he's like, no, you can't sit here. All the booths are taken. There's nobody sitting in the place. It's obviously like straight away going, oh, by the way, he's not just a homophobe, he's a racist. Do you get it? You have to hate him. I was already on this guy's a bit of a tool like bus. And I was, why did the writing, why did the directing, why did anything do this right now? It was a real, this is all soft and gentle. Then there was a little tap of a hammer, and I'm like, okay, gotcha. And then bang, I got hit over the head again. I'm like, what did that just serve? It didn't tell me anything about any of the rest of the story. It didn't help me with any of the characters. That one minor guy that I already thought was an ass is just now a bigger ass.
See, the way that I'll defend that is
please do.
Is the fact is that it shows essentially the atmosphere or environment of the times, because as you say that it's a hammer home kind of thing. It's not really, because if from that time period and stuff like that wouldn't be unusual. That's not a hammer home kind of thing.
Well, no, it's not because it's that time period. It's because it happened in those 12 seconds. It's like this guy's been a douche, and we're going to now give him an instantaneous, before that interaction even ends, he's going to be a douche again to make sure.
Well, see, this the thing is, I didn't see him being a douche all the way through. I think he was a bit.
No, he was just a douche that second before.
But I think when you were saying that you saw him, like you thought he was a little bit of a douche kind of thing.
No, I mean
beforehand.
No. When I said beforehand, I mean he reaches to touch his hand, and that's when you find out he's a douche. You find it out instantaneously. As in, the guy is like, no, whoa.
Yeah, no, I know. But I meant, did you not have a like, when you...
An inkling before that?
Yeah.
No, I figured they were probably going to go somewhere either surprising that he was going to be okay, or that they would go that he would be homophobic, or... Like, I didn't really have a read on where they were going to end up with that character.
Okay.
But I'm talking in that 20-second period.
Yeah, I think I think that it is meant to hammer it home, because your man had such a romanticized vision of this guy, and I think it's an abrupt tear of the vision of that character.
I get you.
As in, he goes into the pie shop every kind of like days.
Every
he eats the pie, and
gets.
he fucking actually hates the pies.
Yes, he hates the pies.
So
they make it very clear that they're in love, but that he's not, that they're in love, that he is he's infatuated with this guy and has built him up as something. Then to have his rejection, in the split second of his rejection happening, to instantly go, well, not only that rejection's happening right now, but check it out, this guy's really bad.
Yeah, but I think it's a shattering of the view of that character's. He had this preconception of, oh, this guy's actually really nice. Yeah. He's really kind and stuff. I like him. I like maybe he might, mirror my affections. Maybe he might return my affections. And then to have it shattered so abruptly, and then to really hammer it home, is the fact that your preconception of this person being a nice person and maybe going for your affection and stuff, it's actually the fact that he's actually a real bad person.
See that, and that's I didn't understand from a story point of view why that helped. I certainly didn't. I didn't understand from the character who was having his heart broken why it was a good thing for him to have been given an out, so to speak. He's just got to deal with the fact that he absolutely, was in love with a guy, yet had no idea whether or not that would be returned. The second he finds out that it's not going to be returned, it's like, oh yeah, but don't worry about it, dude. He's a dick. You don't want to be with him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I would have felt it more natural for him to actually have to deal with it on the spot and be like, I built this guy up. This is not, it's not worked. Also, it looks like he's a bit of a homophobe, so he was a bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
But to give him the out of, no, well, you're just a bad person. Like, you're a racist piece of scum. I should never have liked you anyway. So, well, it just, yeah. I'll watch it again. There's my take. I had to call out the.
I get it.
The bit. That didn't work for me, but it didn't ruin the film.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't ruin the film. So, give it at me, because remember, this is a fight now. We've got to get dug in and try and not fight.
So, one of my problems with Spotlight is the undermining covering up of the fact that the Spotlight group, the Globe, had all the pieces beforehand and didn't do anything, or didn't do very little about it, and it was very, very underwhelmed about the that there was no kind of like
no comeuppance for them for that.
Not even comeuppance. It was more just there was one character who slightly. It felt like it was like one character felt slightly bad. Like it seemed like a bigger because like they were constantly throughout the film they were constantly saying that the Bugle had been sent stuff and constantly done stuff. And then also them having the out of going, well, Spotlight, this needed Spotlight kind of thing. And it's just like the one redeeming part of that is Michael Keaton saying, well, Spotlight was around at that time. It just felt like a very kind of brushed under the rug kind of moment where it felt like they were like, when I was saying before, where they didn't vilify or really go in depth of the church's responses and stuff like that, which actually made them more evil by not essentially showing that up a little bit more. It made it seem like the film was built as a kind of heroism pedestal for the Globe.
Yeah, they were being made look like the heroes throughout this. But as you say, there was that other line of plot going. But stuff had been sent. Why haven't you acted on it? And I take your point that the payoff to that, as in the punishment for that, or the acceptance of guilt for that, was slight.
It was underwhelming for me.
And I see, and the reason it didn't underwhelm me is because it's based around in a lot. It's the main character Michael Keaton realizing he was part of that. But I thought that played into the theme of all the way along. They're going, this is Boston. This is the way it was. We were all complicit. We were all complicit. We were all complicit. And it was him realizing and finding out, yeah, we were, including me. And it's not a case of, but I'm okay with that. It was more a case of, oh my God, we really were. I take your point that
it's like, as in, they do accept the fact that they haven't done as much as they could have.
Yeah.
It's just that it feels with the outcome of like, your man, Michael Keaton's friend, the lawyer, where he's like, he comes to his home and he like, you were defending these scumbags and stuff, and them going like him going back on like, we gave like, you had a part in this too, kind of thing. It feels like there was a lot more weight on everybody else's kind of shoulders than certain characters within the Globe kind of thing. Now, like, once again, loved the film.
Oh yeah,
like
no, I definitely take your point.
It didn't ruin the film or anything. No. It was just more of the fact is that it just felt like it felt like a crusade throughout the film of the Globe, which was fantastic. Yeah, it was just not accepting or underwhelmingly accepting the part that they had
to play. Yeah, that they were complicit by absence of action for all that time.
Yeah,
and I get that, and the reason that doesn't affect me or hold me back, because I take your point. It's one of that is part of the story for me. That's just an actual reality. The film wasn't making heroes or villains, specific villains. And it was, okay, I take it that you had protagonists who were heroic in action, but they weren't being made out to be heroes along the way for me. And I think because they're real people and because this really happened, you can't have them take a big hit that they didn't really take. Like there was no sense that Michael Keaton's character, when he's like, Spotlight was around then, and this came to me on the Metro desk, where he verbalizes that he was part of the problem. Because they had the most powerful scene in the film of Mark Ruffalo losing it and shouting at Michael Keaton's character, saying, you know, we have to do something. It's bullshit. We have to do something now. Michael Keaton's cold editor in charge look of, you know, are you finished? It was the steely character that had been played out for him, that he'll say what he's thinking, that he's in this to have an effect. It's not just that Liev Schreiber wants, you know, to go after the system and have it take down. It's that Michael Keaton now understands. And when he's handed the news clipping that shows that he was part of the problem, he doubly understands. We've got to make this. And his acceptance on screen of that, I thought was enough, because it was a case of, yeah, no, you know who's a piece of crap? I'm a piece of crap too. But this is what we have to do right now.
Yeah, and for me, it just didn't seem to come through that strongly in the way that it even in the kind of like, if it was still subtly but powerful kind of way, I would have accepted a little bit more. It just felt like it out of all of the characters and all of the moments within the film and all the organizations and everything like that, having this show up and having it come up multiple times and having it, like, you know, the moment where they get the sealed papers done, and the managers, the editor is just like, you know, buried in Metro, that really stuck out to me. And there was the very little to no reaction from Michael Keaton's character about doing that. And it's like even does the words bury us in the Metro, it should have had some emotional effect, because he's just gone through like a year of finding out, like, because you've got lawyers who said that he said 20 priests to them. Yeah, you've got, like, you know, them having the directories in the basement and stuff like that. Like, it constantly builds and builds. So hearing that they're going to bury something within the Metro along a part of the story, I thought it would have even a slight or subtle effect on the Michael Keaton character. And it didn't at all. Even if it was like, even if it was like a moment after the scene where he's like, you know,
I think it did, and it's the moment where
it really didn't seem like that at all.
But I think I can give you one of the moments. Even afterwards, you're looking for a moment. It's where he's like, "You've got to give us the room," to the Metro editor, to the guy that is now in the position that he was in, where it's like, "You got to give us the room. You're not hearing this." It's the transition from where he was to where he is, and his recognition of how this all works. I think over and over again, his interactions with the organized crime of it all, but the organizations behind all this, you know, his interactions with the school, his interaction at the bar with the guy that comes to kind of tell him, you know, you're going to be living in Boston a long time. The way his character is played through all of that, oh no, when he hears it, I think there's plenty of obvious action on it.
See, no, as in well, throughout the film, I didn't realize that he was I actually thought that the other editor was the reason, and when they were like, Peter, you got to leave the room, kind of thing. I thought it was because they were going to point out to him that other editor was the one who buried and stuff like that. So, like, that was where the kind of confusion. There wasn't.
Again, there was definitely a little bit of a misdirect that you thought it was going to be.
It wasn't until the end that I was just like not closer to the end. I was just like, I bet you it's Michael Keaton's character, because, you know. But it wasn't like. It wasn't that I was going through it going like, oh, he's a crusader because he's been part of this system in a way, you know, as in with Michael Ruffalo's character, where he's a crusader because, as we've said before, he's the heart or nerve of the whole thing. The
raw nerve at the end of it all.
You know, as in Michael Keaton did a fantastic job. I think there was a little bit of depth within that didn't come through as much as I wished, especially since the film is.
And I completely take your point. And I do take your point. And for me, the reason that's not the case is because it's the order of shooting, not the order of knowledge. He knows before it's revealed.
No, and
his actions, for me, were things like, looking back, once he reveals, it's like, yeah, I was the one. You know, it happened in 93. And somebody else is like, you know, and you were Metro then? He's like, yeah. He has already known that and done things up to that point that, for me, were like, okay, that is the character accepting the burden. You know, just going and talking to the hockey guy, it's like, okay, you can see he's...
Yeah, but then it makes his character a little bit less... For if the aspect is that I then learn that he's the one who buried us, and we then look upon his... Or not buried
ignored
it, but
didn't do enough.
But it happened on his watch. And then having essentially have to retroactively look back onto all his actions and stuff like that. I was looking at those actions as a you know, a person of great moral standing. that the reason that he was going at it in such a virtual way, such you know, a strong arrow within the group of Spotlight, which are already a bunch of strong arrows within it, having a fact that he's actually trying to, you know, make an amends kind of thing, it was just like, oh, that's great and all, that's a really good way and stuff, but it would have kicked home a little bit more if there was a little bit more subtle kind of,
you think they should have revealed it earlier?
No. Just a little bit more kind of like a moment within it that would have given you more of an inkling towards it.
Okay.
Because like the paper cutting where your woman hands it to him, there's an understanding there.
Yeah,
for the fact that,
but not for us at that point as the moviegoer. You don't know if it's him, or they do misdirect to say that it'll actually be his boss.
Yeah, which is fine. It's just that having an emotional reaction maybe later on, like having her leave and then having him, like, you know, in the desk, like having all the lights off in the Spotlight place and having him in his office on his own, because when she leaves, he throws it onto the desk. Having a moment where he picks it up again. I
understand what you're saying, but I'm really glad that wasn't there. For me, that would take away from the film. But I take your point completely. The film was not like that at any point where it was going, we're doing this and we're now showing you. It was doing the other thing of, this is an investigation. Reality is horrible. People are all horrible. Everybody's in it. By the way, don't forget, these are the victims. And it moved on that sort of cadence and pace. I would have been, if it had actually taken time out to help, that would have only served one purpose for me, and that would be to help the viewer be like, see, he does regret. I think,
but
because this is a real life story, everybody has a lot of regret and blame to be thrown on them.
But it's also media, so like having a visual part of that is also important, because like, as I said, I'm a viewer and I feel really actually like, you know, I feel like
you feel cheated.
Out of the one group within the thing, right, with the one group that all had blame and stuff like that put upon it, it really felt like they not covered up, but they slightly swept it under the rug, like, you know.
I see what you're saying.
It's just my problem. Yeah. Like, as I said, it's nice that they didn't, you know, overly vilify the church, because it made them seem more evil. Yeah. Not, you know, making this a little bit more of an important moment. It felt like they were putting them on a pedestal a little bit too much.
I take, again, and this is one of those things, just like my example of what I felt was a lumpen move out of nowhere in Shape of Water, to kind of go, this guy's an asshole. By the way, he really is an asshole, and just shouting it at the viewers, like, oh, okay. I can see why, you know, we'll always view things differently. Everybody always will. So, unfortunately for us, this is an impasse. This is one of those things where we've both tried our hardest to find something in the other film. If I was to say best picture, just to go back to how something can win out of the two of these, objectively for me, Spotlight's the better picture. As in, if you start measuring on different criteria, if you measure on how, you know, your emotional engagement with it, for me, and that's a problem. For me, it will always be the better of the two films.
Mm-hmm. See, doing it from objectively, even without the tutorial, I really, really enjoyed just the creation of the Shape of Water, like universe and everything like that. I really enjoyed the charmingness to the story. I enjoyed the props, the scenes, the sets, everything like that. I enjoyed the acting, the characters within it were all very well done, and also very time reliant, as in it was Cold War moments. I really, really enjoyed the fact that you have the one CIA guy who's like, you know, or the FBI guy who's like really strong, and also had a history with this creature.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the Russian doctor, who essentially crosses the aisle in the fact that he's been brought there to essentially find out this thing and then kill it, and then he actually tries to help escape. Like, you know, it for me, it's a nice and full, charming moment that everybody comes together to. Not everybody, but everybody tries to come together to help this essentially romance to flourish.
Yeah. And the problem is then my counter to that is, you have Spotlight where characters are so well acted and developed that as somebody walks up to a door to interview a priest, and the priest shows a lack of human understanding as to what is wrong with molesting a child, and that's something that as I watched and listened to that scene happen, I couldn't help but feel everything I felt. And it did that more than once in the movie. For me, Shape of Water was a nice love story that looked phenomenal. And I won't be able to change my mind. I have a sense you won't be able to change your mind. I have a sense we're both right. which is great. It's great that we're both right because everybody else is wrong because we've picked both things out of two. So if you didn't pick one of the two things, then you're wrong. So we're going to have to get round to another way of splitting this up, and that is
the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
So we've been using this tiebreaker for all the rounds so far. We might change it up for the.
We might have to change it up for the final because people will already, for the semi-final and final.
Yeah. So this one is that it's the amount of Golden Globes and Oscar wins
in that order. So you start with Golden Globes, isn't it? And then if we have to go to, it's been a tie in Golden Globes every time so far. Yeah. And then we go to Oscar wins and nominations. So we're going to go and do that, and you're going to get to see it right now. So we're back with answers. We've checked our tie-breaking data, and it's very disappointing for me because unfortunately the winner is on the tie-break.
The winner is Shape of Water,
and Paul is very disappointed because when we looked at the Golden Globes, Spotlight only got 3 nominations.
Yeah, so we did, like last time we did the points things, 2 points for a winner, 1 point for a nomination, which was Shape of Water got 9 points, 2 winners, which was and 5 nominations, and then Spotlight only got 3 nominations from the Golden Globes, which although I was rooting for Shape of Water, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Look, and obviously I'm going to be sad because the film that I had picked as the overall winner before this even began has now been knocked out. But tiebreakers are tiebreakers. Yeah. Now, how we feel about that level of nomination for a Golden Globe, etc., that's a whole other video which we've actually covered. So you can see what we think about. We can think about awards is covered in a few of our videos actually.
We haven't done one. We haven't done a video specifically on our feeling of award systems and stuff like that. We've done the nominations for the Oscars and the winners of the Golden Globes.
Well, I think after this we may well soon be doing a video on how much crap we think these awards are, which is one of the reasons why we're doing tourneys such as these.
I'm sorry because when we were doing the tiebreaker of Golden Globes and Oscars throughout the entire grouping,
I was always very close.
It's always been very close, either being exactly the same, as in points wise exactly the same, or and then moving on to the Oscars and I was winning by 1 point, except for King's Speech and 12 Years a Slave. It was like 11 points to like 16. Something
like that, but I think at the Golden Globes at that stage it had been a tie. So there was a definite sense of closeness to it all, whereas this is not at all close by our thing. But our tiebreaker, and we all know it, our tiebreaker is as good as a toss of a coin.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. I'm crushed because I was really hoping Spotlight might make it all the way to the final, and we've now been robbed of the chance. Actually, I'm kind of glad now because now I don't have to have Birdman possibly face Spotlight, which would be the Clash of the Keatons. And I don't know where I would have fallen on that.
I think you would have fallen. Oh, that was actually...
Yeah.
I think Birdman.
I see. Right now, I can't tell you because I'm in mourning for Spotlight.
Man.
So...
To be honest with you, Because the reason I feel so betrayed about the Golden Globes now is because we were both like, we both enjoyed the other... Well, I think I enjoyed Spotlight a little bit more than you enjoyed Shape of Water.
Yeah, that's probably true.
To me, they were very much on par. That I was just like, well, the Golden Globes is going to be a write-out. Let's just go to the Oscars.
Right.
And having it such...
these award shows are funny business.
But
funny business.
But looking at the nominations for that year and stuff, never mind.
Again, another video. So Paul is the least happy winner in the history of time, unless maybe you look at me for the other day when 12 Years a Slave got done on a tiebreaker too. So we've now got our bracket filled all the way up to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And they are in order. It is going to be Argo versus Birdman, and it will be The King's Speech versus Shape of Water. So we're in for an interesting final, no matter which ones make it through from either of those fights.
Yeah.
So what you should do is definitely keep watching. Tune in. We're getting videos up every Tuesday and Thursday on this very topic. Our final may well be launched on the same day as the Oscars. We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to depend on our editing. And I think what you should definitely do right now, out of respect for Spotlight, and Paul's equally annoyed at the Golden Globes not helping it at least be close, what you should do is like and subscribe and share. Have I cheapened things by throwing in the word subscribe now?
Yeah, well, the Golden Globes are cheating the whole fucking thing, it seems.
Yeah, so just check out our other our other videos about what, Paul? What is
we've
this?
got videos on our thoughts on the trailer situation called the trailer paradox. We've got
What would you call this whole thing that we're doing right now?
oh, this whole thing.
Yeah.
This
Would
my
it be
friend would be called the Tourney.
I'm not getting through one video without getting him to do that. It's going to be fun, and the final is not far away, so stay with us. I have been Patrick.
And I have been Surprised and Paul.
We've been Heroes Out. We'll catch you next time.